Hi, I'm Jan Shegda from Clarity Coaching. I help individuals and companies be at their unique personal best. And today we're talking about spiritual development for Enneagram Style 8, the challenger on the Enneagram. So we'll talk through the same 4 areas as with the other types. Let's get started. The social style for 8s is the same as for 3s and 7s on the Enneagram, and it's an assertive or active, aggressive social style. And this just means that when faced with a problem or just when approaching life, the go-to is always to use your natural forward movement, goal orientation, action, and speed to get over that hurdle and get things done. So you can see how that'd be a big positive for a lot of areas of life, but the negative that it creates is in order to maintain that speed and forward movement, you sometimes have to downplay your emotional experience or the more subjective experience in your life. And so this creates a disconnect from the emotional side. So spiritual growth for 3, 7s, and 8s, you're going to get the biggest return on your investment if you focus on the emotional side. So this would be any kind of emotional processing, therapy, engaging the arts, whether that's you personally creating art or going and listening to a piece of music or going to a museum. Anything that's going to help you focus on what you're actually experiencing on the emotional side and connect to God through that is going to be really positive as a spiritual practice. And again, that's the same advice for 3s and 7s, the achiever and the enthusiast on the Enneagram. So let's move on to the gut center. So 8s are in the gut center, 8s, 9s, and 1s. And centers are just the dominant way that you engage the world around you and get information from it. So gut center individuals have, versus thinking or feeling, which are the other 2 centers, head and heart, gut center individuals have a sense of instinct or gut feeling about what the right decision is to make, about how to engage the world. And so the strength of this is that they're very grounded and very connected to almost like the physical earth and the physical world. So what this creates is almost kind of a struggle between opposing forces in the world. This is kind of an abstract concept. It's not as straightforward as the head and heart center. But basically, what gut center people need to grow spiritually is to focus on just presence and being, not doing anything, not moving to action or retreating into inaction or laziness, but just to kind of hold that tension and be in the middle of that. So some exercises that would be helpful for this, literally just sitting somewhere, whether it's outside or in your home, and not thinking, not feeling, not processing, just being and allowing that stillness to transform you. So you know you're doing this right if after you spend some time doing it, you feel more alive, more engaged, and more connected to yourself than you did when you started. So that's kind of the test. It's one of those things that may feel a little awkward and feel like you're not actually accomplishing anything because you literally are just sitting there doing nothing. But it's actually the most effective thing you can do if you're a gut center person, 8, 9, or 1. Okay, so let's talk about the spiritual discipline for 8s. So the spiritual discipline for 8s is submission, which is just the act of relinquishing your power, your influence, your voice, your control in a particular situation. And you can see how in a spiritual context this would be really helpful. So just the idea of submitting your will to the will of God, to the will of the divine, and relinquishing how you think things should be done. This is a challenge and kind of unnatural for most 8s, but they often report that it's really a positive exercise for them to do, to not have to be in charge of it all, not have to be figuring out how to manage all the different pieces, but just to release and allow someone else, something else to be in charge. Some simple ways to do this would be either in your work, listening to the opinions of others and going with their ideas versus your own, and kind of making sure that those come across and are listened to. In a more of a spiritual context, It's kind of that continual prayer of release and relinquishment of, I guess the Christian prayer would be, thy will, not my will, be done, essentially. And I think using the prayer posture with this would be really helpful. So let's talk about the prayer posture, which is deference. So that's hands cupped and head down and kind of bent over at the waist, almost in a begging position or a pleading position. And again, just the idea being that anything you receive from the world, from God, is a gift and not deserved, not something that you can control or influence, but that you should appeal to the mercy, generosity, and benevolence of others and make yourself humble to receive those gifts. So not the most comfortable positions for most aides, but like all of us, the prayer positions kind of mirror a way that if we engage it, will add some more depth to our spirituality, because there's more aspects to it than the things we normally would focus on. So that's everything for 8s for today. I'll talk to you next week for Enneagram Style 9, the Peacemaker, and Spiritual Development. See you there.